largely in preparation for some sort of civil conflict, if not outright civil war. Over 2 million firearms were sold in January of this year alone, representing an 80% increase from December of last year. And overall, there are over 393 million guns owned by civilians in the United States, making America the number one country in terms of firearms per capita. If that doesn't make a civil war more likely, it at least would make a civil war far more deadly were one to break out. 32% of American adults personally own guns, and 44% of American adults live in households where at least one person owns a gun. So again, America has many, many firearms, and at any moment, a truly tremendous amount of violence can break out if gun owners choose to cause it. There's also no shortage of Civil War preppers in the U.S. If you just look up Civil War prep or Civil War preparations, right now on your computer, you can find thousands of people, telling you how to prepare for a civil war, what to buy, why to expect one. And, part of this is just like paranoia, or people exploiting paranoia for profit. People who we shouldn't exactly take seriously. But again, even if you don't think that they are correct in that a civil war is possible or likely, the more people who believe that it is possible or likely, the more likely it actually becomes, and the more dangerous our country becomes. So, even if you think that these people are completely unfounded, they are still a significant part of the population who you need to take into consideration. The fringe, extreme ideas in this country are much less fringe than a lot of people on the center would like to admit, as we have seen in recent months and years. I'd also say that the militia movement includes hundreds of militia groups in America on both national and local levels, and many of these militias advocate extreme political positions. These militias include people like, say, the Oath Keepers. And you can see what effect this can have by looking at the storming of the Capitol. Organized groups of militias leading these political attacks to disrupt our political process, to kill their political opponents. So to recap all of what I just went over. The American people have, over the course of several decades, become economically poorer, physically sicker, and more isolated from each other. And at the same time that this is happening, instead of helping the people, the government has become more polarized and dysfunctional, and this has trickled down to the American people, who have also become more polarized and dysfunctional. There are more extreme beliefs, more people who are ready to resort to violence. There are irreconcilable visions of what our country's future should be. A number of people are already predicting and preparing for a civil war, and a number of people are already trying to cause civil unrest by targeting the political process and their political opponents. And these are long-term issues which, if they are not addressed, then there will be another crisis in the future, and possibly another civil war. I could spend hours going over any one of the things that I've briefly mentioned in this video. This video is already almost an hour as it is. But, I mean, you can look into any of these things that I've told you yourself if you're interested. If you are interested in researching it more, I suggest looking at the podcast It Could Happen Here by Robert Evans. Evans was a journalist covering civil unrest in countries like Ukraine and Syria, and it's quite an interesting podcast. It looks into, first of all, reasons why a civil war is possible, like I've been talking about so far here, as well as what that civil war would look like if it broke out. I will also say that although it's possible that, say, the Biden administration or future leaders will be able to solve these issues that I've described before they turn into civil war, I do not find that to be likely. I hope that that happens, but many of these issues either started or continued under liberal presidents like Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, and I don't see them going away anytime soon. And if they continue, there will be another crisis as bad as or worse than that of this last year. I'm sorry if this video was a bit rambly, a bit disjointed, or my points didn't really make sense. I tried to be as objective as possible when covering this, and to be honest, I didn't even want to make this video, except considering what I said before and after the election, I thought that it would be wrong of me to just leave this unresolved, leave my statements as they were unresolved. So again, I'm sorry for making that false prediction that there absolutely would be a civil war, but I still believe that a civil war was, and in the future is, possible. So, in conclusion, the events of 2020, 2021 were a spark. A spark which luckily did not catch full flame. But if sparks continue to fly, as I fear that they will, then a flame is bound to catch at some point. And when that happens, it will not be good for the country or for the world. I hope that it does not come to that, but I can't shake the feeling that it will. See you next time.